Eamon Khan here for Seconds Out top trainer Shane McGuigan. Karol Itauma, debut yourself in the corner for him, obviously returning to the ring. I just heard a little word in the changing rooms there, but word banded around is trust. When you get a new fighter coming into the gym, how easy or what's the process in building that trust and relationship moving forward?
Yeah, I think he came in the gym around September, October last year. So we had a fight scheduled in December, which unfortunately fell through at last minute. It was just going to be a little run out, and I think he just needs activity. You know, he's just 24 years of age. It's not like I think he's had 13 or 14 fights and he's 24. A lot of people are just turning pro at that age. So he's had 13 months out. He's got excited about boxing again. He's had that time to reflect and refresh his brain, change his team up, and he's just it's just new. I said to him, take this next step as it's the starting of your career again, because you turn pro very young, and it's sometimes at that light heavy division stuff like that, you need a bit more time. You need that maturity in your body to be able to push on, and I think it's a good place. He's obviously banked that experience. But this is a completely different approach from now on in. We've got to take every fight and be extremely serious about it.
What's your gauge of his talent, having shared the time with him in the gym?
He's a good learner. He's very good at concentrating, very well balanced. He's got good punching power in all of his shots. We need to work on his speed, and we need to work and bring out his ability to get his opponents to fight at the range that he wants to. Because sometimes he gets caught up in their range and he can look really good sparring quality people, and then sometimes if he spars someone that's less, like tonight for instance, his first 2 rounds he was just crowding his work a little bit, and I think you're going to see a much better you're going to see his talent and his ability come out when he's in against more skilled operators, because that's what he's used to facing all the time in the gym. So but I just don't want to put any pressure on him. I just want him to go and enjoy every step of the way. And I think we'll probably be targeting titles after the summer, whether it's an English or something like that, and then cracking on.
Boxing public will of course look at both the brothers and maybe gauge both off of each other, which is somewhat unfair. But how much of that situation we've managed to make sure that he's not looking at what his brother's doing and solely focusing on his own career and not quite coming out the shadow, but making sure that he's got his own path?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's always hard. It's hard with Hassan, with Adam, and it's hard with like Luke McCormack's just walked past with Pat and people like that. Like there's always going to be slightly more attention on one of the brothers, but at the end of the day, you're on your own journey, and as close as you can be, you've got to do it for yourself, and you've got to go out there and make statements for yourself, and me being, for instance, a son of my dad. It doesn't matter if it's your brother, if it's your dad or something. There's always going to be added pressure, but once you realise that. Actually, that's all bullshit. It's all people's opinions. Just crack on, do what's best for you, and that comes with maturity. And I think he's getting to that stage in his life where he's just like, I'm doing this for me, and that's what we want from him.
You said that I think Karol said as well too that they've known you two for a while, and obviously Moses has been for the boxing public seen his talent coming through from an early stage, but I imagine trainers like yourself would have seen that early too. Did you ever think maybe that was one miss and maybe not getting Moses as well at the gym beforehand?
No, like Karol came in my gym when he was like 16, 17. I think he sparred one of my fighters. Moses was about 12 years of age. You know what I mean? I did. So he only had about one fight. He's a Kent lad. At one stage, my gym was based down in Canterbury University. So, and he's from Chatham, which is not far away from me. So, it's just nice to see. More importantly, it's nice to see Karol back enjoying his boxing again, because I know what it's like when you lose the love for boxing. And you just got to have the right support system around you, and think about yourself as a kid. You know what I mean? Coming through the doors, excited to train, excited to get that chance to box. That's what boxing's all about. Forget about titles and all that. Sorry, there's an argument for gloves at the end. So just get back in the gym, get that excitement about boxing again. And I think that's what I want to see from him.
So in the boxing world, former fighter of yours, Craig Richards, got the stoppage over Paddy McCrory. It was a body shot, I believe, in the 8th round that stopped it. But onwards and upwards for Craig.
Yeah, exactly. I texted him today. He said he was on great form. I think that was we made that fight, myself and my brother, and I talked to Tony, and he's looking after him managerially now. So we parted ways, but amicably and in a happy place. And I think that's a fantastic fight for him, and I hope he gets a big opportunity from now on.
Is Ellie Scotney sending an invoice to Chris Eubank Jr.?
I don't know. It's not me to be doing that.
I just thought it was a funny moment. Obviously, Chris Eubank Jr.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, so, but she's funny, Ellie. She's always tongue in cheek.
Well, we'll see if Chris Eubank Jr. comes through with his promise. Caroline Dubois out next week. How's she looking?
Looking fantastic. Yeah, all her training is done. She's in the taper now, so she'll do a punching session on Monday, and nice, it's a Friday show. And also, what an amazing event and a card to be a part of. Royal Albert Hall. I've never had a fighter box there. I've been to a couple fights there, and I think it's a all female card, something special and something great. It's great for her to be a part of, and I think she's got a great slot on the bill against a tough Korean opponent.
I wanted to ask you about that Eubank Jr. versus Benn card. Look, obviously, made the headlines with the egg crack, and I don't need a blow-by-blow for that. There's a lot has been said about that. But just in terms of the talk about the rehydration clause and how that will affect Eubank Jr.
What is it? Tell me.
It's 170 on the day. Don't know what the time of the rehydration clause has to be adhered to, but 160 on the weigh-in day, 170 the day after.
Yeah, it depends what time it is. If it's at 10 in the morning, that's absolutely fine. If it's at 7 p.m, it's a completely different story. So, yeah, I think whoever's wrote that into the contract needs to come forward and say what time it is, and then we can hedge our bets.
Eubank was saying that he only needs to rehydrate 14 pounds, 10 pounds, so it's a £4 difference. How much of a difference is that? £4? Is it really?
Huge.
Could you break that down?
But £4 of natural weight is massive, because you don't want to go in there. You don't want to try and put £4 on if it's 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock till fight night. You should be, if anything, your body's like a sponge. So when you take the water out of it, take the glycogen out of it, take the fibre out of it, and then you start putting that stuff back in, it's like a sponge and it swells. And by Friday night, you'll probably be heavier than what you are on Saturday night, because by the time you walk around and your carbs level out and your glycogen levels level out, you'll actually go above it and then you'll drop. But if you're holding out and you're holding on, then you're going to have that swell too close to the fight. It's not optimal. Nowhere near.
I don't know if you saw the pictures of the Facebook, especially on the Tottenham Stadium ground pitch, but he looked really big. What does that say to you?
Yeah. It's 2 weight categories difference. Do you know what I mean? That's just the truth of it. Fighters need weight to train off. Sometimes they need weight to train off. So in a training camp, your body is taking impact every day, sparring, pads, S&C, running, all of that is just impact. And if you're lean and you're right on weight, your body breaks down, you get injuries. So it's actually a good thing sometimes to have a little bit of weight to train off. Not a lot, but and I think that's what Eubank's got, whereas Conor is already at the weight, or there or thereabouts. So that's also a benefit in the sense like he can now just completely fuel his training and fuel his performance. But it's always going to favour the bigger man. It's always going to favour the bigger man. But age is the biggest factor for me in this fight.
It's the job done.
I'm going to sit on the fence until I find out about the rehydration clause.
Fair enough. I wanted to move on to the fallout from Bivol versus Batobia. First of all, the interest in your former fighter, Daniel Dubois. It was mentioned, I think, in a Box Nation interview by Frank Warren that Daniel's had some problems with his glands previous in leads up to fight. So have you had history of that happening before?
Yep. Can't remember what fight it was. Maybe it was the one in Miami.
Casamano?
No, the other one when he boxed for the regular belt.
Oh, Trevor Bryant.
Trevor Bryant, yeah, he had his glands were up a little bit there. I think he trains hard, he sweats a lot. Climate change, air conditioning, places like Saudi Arabia, like they're hot in the day and it's a different dry heat, and even in the winter they're still whacking on air conditioning, which is just like circulating other people's breath. So you're just exposed to more bacteria and viruses, and I think I can see why that's potentially happened.
I know you're not a doctor, of course, but I think it was made that the doctor said that look, he could probably fight, but he's going to be feeling it after the third round. Do you feel like the right decision was made? Whoever made the decision to pull him out of the fight if it wasn't 100% against Joe Parker?
No comment. Because I don't know the scenarios, I don't know the variables. So if I make a comment, it can be right or it can be wrong. Whoever made the call is in charge.
Fair enough. He moves on to the belief is that Oleksandr Usyk rematch is going to happen. Do you think Dubois has changed or adapted enough or learned enough from the first fight to get the victory over Usyk?
Well, he's coming off great momentum. And that first one, he had knee reconstruction surgery after Kevin Lorena. He got dropped in the first round. His confidence wouldn't have been the highest. He'd been trained when he come back, he was training with a strap around his knee. So there's lots of variables there. But so he's had Big Baby Miller since then. He's obviously had Hrgovic, and he's knocked out AJ's on great form. He's got the momentum behind him. But I think between AJ and Usyk's a long wait. He needed that one fight in between, I think, just to boost even more confidence. It didn't have to be against the Southpaw. I think it just needed to be like, he's one of these guys that he needs to be active, needs to be busy, and yeah, I think he'll do better than he did in the first fight, and he might get more success. But I think the same outcome will happen whether he's beats him on points. Will probably be most likely Usyk wins on points, but I just think once Daniel starts getting his momentum and his attacks, getting those waves of attacks, Usyk's just so good at taking them away from you, whereas people that are slightly bigger like AJ and stuff, like he was in the firing line for it. Do you know what I mean? Usyk's nimble. He's boxed as middleweight internationally, then light heavy, then cruiser, then turned pro, undisputed cruiser, and then he's moved up, but he's still got that speed and that tempo of a smaller man, and now he's got that density of being able to maintain that as a bigger lad. So at the end of the day, speed is the biggest attribute in those high weight classes.
Dmitry Bivol beat Artur Beterbiev in the rematch. It was a fantastic, majestic performance, and he was brilliant in the ring at times there, of course, in that fight. Do you see any other fighter, whether if it be at that weight or above, beating either man, or is it each other will just put losses in the records and no one else?
I think Bivol's got more left. I think Benavidez is obviously wanting that Bivol fight. I think that he's young enough. Morel is young enough. You've always got to look at the next wave coming through. Bivol's 33, about to turn 34. I think he is. Beterbiev is 40 years of age. Doesn't matter. Just said it in a previous interview. Doesn't matter how well you live. Like, he lives like a monk outside. Doesn't drink. Just eats clean. But your father time's still catching up. It might prolong your career by 1 or 2 years or 3 or 4 years, but father time is catching up. And I think if you look at Bernard Hopkins is probably the best example of somebody, having a style, or even Mayweather having a style that favours age, because they're great at tucking behind the shoulder. But Beterbiev, he takes shots to get in. He's got good feet. He's not like just hands up high, but he takes his shots to get in, and he's an aggressive fighter. He's not a pot shot on the exit. So I think Father Time is catching up with him. I think in the third fight, I think Bivol will win if there is a third fight. I would like to see the trilogy because I think they deserve it. They've both earned the right, in their amateur experience and their professional experience, to have that trilogy. I hope they get really well paid for it. And I think Bivol will go on for a couple more years, but you've always got to look at the next wave coming through.
That's the final thing. I saw your YouTube channel and you're raising money for cancer awareness, I believe it is. Young Lives versus Cancer, sorry, I apologise. What your motivations behind that, and where can people find to donate?
Yeah, so there's a page I'm gonna post it. I'm gonna put it on my Instagram bio. It's the fundraiser, and any donations would be really appreciated. It's a charity called Young Lives versus Cancer. Used to be Click Sergeant, which was cancer, leukemia in childhood, which was actually when my sister got leukemia at 11 to 13, the first time she got cancer. They supported us and helped us out. My dad and Wayne Lineker's son got cancer, and U2, the guitarist Edge, his daughter got cancer, and there was a lot of kids that unfortunately were affected by it, and that charity has helped out just thousands and thousands of people across the country, and not just them, it's their families, housing them when they've got to go for their treatment. And I just think I'm very passionate about the charity, and I think if I can do my bit to raise some money, I'd really appreciate any donations. And I'm putting my body through a lot of stress and trauma to get a half decent time. I've just got a niggle in my hip, but
What's the time?
Well, I did 2:53 in the last one, and if I can better that, I've obviously got ambitions at one stage to get to sub 2:45. But hopefully I can put in a good performance in this one.
Okay, good luck, and we'll leave the link in the description as well for people who want to donate. Thanks for speaking to Seconds Out.
Very, very